Hey everyone, you're with Mind Body Solutions and the MBS crew. We got Jeff, we got Amy, we got Kim, and we got Joe for now. Today we're going to be talking about this balance as a sensation. So the sensation of balance. Now this is a crucial universal core sensation we think occurs in yoga poses, at least successful yoga poses. For us, sensation is not a physical accomplishment. In other words, it's not like a teeter-totter balance, like where you got counter-opposing forces, right? That in fact, instead, balance is a sensation that may be better described as an equal distribution of presence throughout the body. So it's not just about physical coordination and physical accomplishment. It's a felt thing, because for a lot of people with trauma, loss, and disability, coordinated movement, being in alignment, not being outwardly off balance isn't an option. So you're trying to expand the realm of their sensations to find a core level of balance that is occurring even while physical off balance is happening, which in fact, when you think about yoga poses, that is what's happening. You're constantly being in different positions off balance, such that you are still trying to stay your mind calm and centered in balance. So one of the real simple poses, we invite you for you to do this at home, right, is just tree pose, Vrksasana. And the other thing about balance in general, if you think about what balance is, we're talking about it as an equal sensation, but it's also being able to coordinate what's inside with what's outside of you. So instead of just thinking it from side to side, it's also a balance between what's inside and outside. So the empty spaces are also being in balance, and it gets more apparent in the traditional tree pose. So Amy's going to do that. And she's been doing yoga for a long time, so she's going to make it look like it's easy and good, and it's not so easy and good, right? But the point is that part of her balance is like in with this. So she's a really good student. So when I get in here, it doesn't knock her off too bad, but it knocks her off a little bit. Because in fact, the field of balance goes beyond the terminus of the body, right? It's not just what's happening in here. It's an integration between inside and out. In order to do and integrate with the inside and the outside, empty space in the body, empty space outside of the body, the mind has to stay stable. So when she does in tree pose, take her arms overhead, you go down through the floor and up beyond. Your poses don't end at the terminus of your body. So the sensation of balance is also what allows you to go beyond the edges of your own body. So then come on down, step down. We're not going to ever do the other side. But the point being, I think you can see it. There is physical accomplishment, but if she's not in sync with the whole room, she's not going to balance. And remember, the human nervous system actually has interoceptive inside your body and proprioceptive ability. And so balance as a sensation is also using proprioceptive awareness to help you balance inwardly. So now we're going to switch to just sitting balance. Now, with sitting balance, it seems like, wait, Jeff's not off balance. He's not going to fall anywhere. But there are things that we can do to even get it even more refined. So if he were to take one leg out and kind of just be, and like, now this is like a sensation that you can see is heavier. When he does get into alignment, it's not just that he's in more alignment, the energy changes around him. And this is the part that we want him to get, that sitting balance. Now watch it. So there I'm just like tightening him, let's say here. So the inside behind his sternum becomes part of his outward balance, right? Now if he just goes off to the side over here, right? Now, can he have this kind of balance? Can he have that inward sensation even though he's out of sync? We're going to try to show that, right? So same thing here with Kim. So like there's other ways to think about balance. And so they're all sitting all straight and tall, and it's pretty aligned. That's pretty uncommon, right? But there's also places where balance between here and here, balance between what's in front of you and what's behind you. Another interesting thing is it's going to be harder to balance if you grip your jaw. So there's even balance between the inside of your mouth and the outside of your mouth. all these things are in play before it gets physically challenging if you're truly going to be on balance, right? So there's an inward dimension to the sensation. Same thing here with Joe, right? So I'm going to put my hand behind his back a little bit here and just have him lean back, right? So I can help him get his chest. So now he's got it where he's not being able to lean so far behind. So now everything's changed between here, right? So I want him to feel his sitting bones you're good. Now when I drop him, right, the balance on his sitting bones has changed. Here his balance is slightly more challenged, right? But he's got to actually start to go inward, balance your head over your neck, start to feel even expansion starts to happen, that the sensation of balance starts to teach you the asana. Now that's a weird thing when you think about it. So I want all three of us to kind of lean over a little bit to one side, right? So you might say this is like off balance. You're out of coordinated balance. Well, there's certain ways. So if you can get your spine to be, and then come back to center, the spine more centered in your, not just your body, but in your awareness, that's going to help. So one of the things we try to do is teach, like there's a band around the lower abdomen. As you have like a band around the lower abdomen, around the chest, around the mouth. See, he's already straightening out as soon as he starts to see it. And a band above your head. Now, if you gently, right, squeeze the band, the lower abdominal band, this is going to be really important for Joe, like where he starts to try to get a grip of his lower abdominal band and then stack the bands, right? You're having to go inward in order to see these internal bands. You stack the bands with gentle pressure at the base to actually come into a better balance, right? So now, and then release. So now I'm going to lean over to one side again, and now you're more physically out of balance, but now I want you to draw those bands around you again, around the lower abdomen, around the chest, around the mouth, around the top of the head, and then gently squeeze the bottom band, stack the bands even though you're physically off balance. That's balance as a sensation. And that's part of what is integral for any yoga pose. Now, the thing about the sensation of balance too is when I ask Kim to be more aware of what's behind her or in front of her, feel her feet on the floor, spread the feet, balance has a feeling of lightness and stability in it. Such that, so like if I pull Kim off balance here, the lightness collapses, right? So the sensation of balance has different qualities to it. And without being on balance, conditions of safety aren't met, right? So conditions of safety are going to be critically important. Balance is going to be critically important to your strength. So imagine that, like a bodybuilder, super strong, but if he or she's standing on one foot, I can knock him over, right? Because balance is integral, it's intertwined with strength. The other thing about if you're off balance, it's really hard to receive, right? So Joe, because he's paralyzed from higher up here, if I bring him, because he knows I'm just going to knock him off balance because he's used to me doing stuff like this, right? So way up here, don't use your elbows, right? He's up, he can't receive very much here, right? I've thrown him around. He's forgiving me, you forgive me, right, Joe, right? The point being is that if you're off balance, you can't receive as well. If you can't receive as well, you can't receive the intangible or less tangible sensations in your mind-body relationship, and then you can't actually balance as well. Because remember, balance just isn't physical. It's balancing from inside to out. So now the crew is going into various forms of tree pose. So here we're going to start it with lying down. So in a way, lying down is just an inversion of standing up with more support. So Bethany is going to come in and help Jeff take his leg off to the side, right? So, it's not the core of the pose matters more, right? So there's opportunities here with Jeff So he's in the position. So now if you think this through, instead of being up and down, but the horizontal expansion is going to have to be more. So certain connections that he can make to bring more integrity, like roll this thigh slightly in, try to feel and connect the foot to the inside of the leg, trying to make sure that your rib cage is balanced, right? Feel your back body on the floor. From this sensation of grounding, I want you to inhale and take your arms over your head. So Bethany, why don't you go and help give some more balance here? Because what I really want for everyone's tree pose here is to get the trunk of the tree, right? This is like the branches and the outer parts of it. The trunk of the tree comes right through the center core. A light touch on the tip of his rib cage would show the diaphragm how to be settled here. But I want to instruct him, because if he were standing, the floor would be here. So push down through this heel, right? Down with the ball through the heel, right? As you stretch that way, stretch out through your fingertips, Jeff, right? Yeah, there you go. Here comes the pose. Feel the connection between the inside foot and the thigh. Drop that knee down a little bit. So there's a lengthening here. Even though he's flat on the ground, there is work going on in this pose. And this is where we start getting into balance as an equal distribution of presence. But there's another way of defining balance too, is the equal distribution of effort. Now that's something different again. So he's got to make sure he's not working his foot harder than his hands, his legs harder than his arms. He's trying to go to the sensation of equanimity throughout the entire vessel. And once he does, it's harder being on the floor for him to integrate with the whole room. Good. And then release. So now we're going to go to this here with Joe. So here, obviously Joe is not going to be taking his legs wide. We could, but we want you to see that the importance of this was, you can go behind him, Amy. The importance of this pose is we want his trunk, the trunk of the tree, to be able to move in two directions. If you remember when Amy did it in front, she took her arms over her head, but to do it, she went down as she went up. So here, I want Joe to try to push down through his feet, even though he can't. Squeeze the block together, hit into the belt, away from the belt. In other words, I'm getting him to engage his low abdomen by telling him to do impossible things. Hit the block this way, push into the belt that way. The only way he can do that is if he accesses his core. He's going to inhale, take his arms up over his head, and try to stay connected. So I'm going to add more stability to the trunk of tree pose by doing that. And he's trying to go down through the floor, down through his sitting bones, up through his arms, up through his fingertips. Now, watch when Amy doesn't help his arms, the pose is going to crash down a little bit. And now he's really got to work. Really got to work. Good. And then release. So over here on Jeffrey over here, why don't you talk through it some?
Okay. So with Jeffrey, we've decided to take the pose standing, which you may want to do with your students at some point. Notice that we're always setting conditions of safety. So we're always using the chair or a wall or a bar or something for stability here. So you ready, Jeffrey? As you'll ever be. All right, let's go ahead and just shift your weight here a little bit. And then I'll have Jeffrey just pick up the right leg just a bit and put just maybe there you go, the heel right on the other leg. So you're pressing the heel into the leg into the heel, and I can already feel your body working. And again, we're working on this movement right up through the center corridor of the body. You feeling pretty stable? Notice I'm giving him a little bit of not even support, but a little bit of reference on his hips that again helps show that midline corridor and just set the conditions of safety.
And also create a sensation of lightness rather than struggle. Because once you start struggling in a balancing pose, you're not integrated with what's around you.
And then if you feel comfortable, this is a great pose right here. But if you feel comfortable, press down through your left foot. And if you're comfortable why don't you bring the left arm over the head?
It's very smart that Amy's doing one at a time, because then he's not being thrown off balance and breaking the sensation of balance as a whole, as an equal distribution of presence.
And then release the foot. Very nice.
And so part of instead of like judging the pose in terms of how much his arms get. It's whether the quality of connection between where he is in space and the space around him, right? That's part of balance. Have you ever noticed like a super agitated person actually makes the space right around their body be all jumpy and weird? It's like they're not on balance mentally, and it's coming out through their body. So the quality of the sensation around a person is one of the ways that you can get Joe to realize, like, for example, in this pose, when he's not able to do quite as much, he's got a whole bunch to work on in terms of the quality between what's inside and out of him. And it doesn't, what's hard, and it's, you got to support your yoga student and your own practice, by the way, when you can't do full poses, is you have to support them in realizing that there's real work in filling the vessel in an equal way. That this is a hard pose too. It's not just about the window dressing. So now we're going to go over to Kim and watch, and she can do this. It's great that she can do this, right? And so already, like what Jeff did with on this side, he's doing on the other side, he's got base variation. Remember, part of the grounding sensation is it keeps changing because there's base variation and gravity differences. Her base has literally changed. Her sense of grounding has literally changed. So she has to go inward. So if she like makes more of a connection between her hands here as a way to support the sensation in her legs, and just because I know I want the empty spaces in her to balance, I'm going to touch her lightly on the back here. Soften your jaw on the inside of your mouth. So she, again, I'm trying to set the conditions of her in the space directly around her body. And now I'm going to have Kim first take her arms up over her head by herself. Unleash your hands first. Right? You can see how she goes off balance here. So if she fights to get it here, don't do that yet. If she fight to get it here, she's not going to be balanced. But if she thinks about staying in her whole body, then the fight up here, the struggle up here doesn't throw her off balance. But she knows to grab her hands together to create more grounding so it can go together. So now if I want to even help her a little bit more, I'm going to give her some grounding here. And she gets to grow up and grow down. Keep the shoulder blades down, right? Down through the foot. Shoulder blades down, down through the foot. But now be open to the space around your armpits, around the back of your head. Feel all the spaces. So you naturally inhale, right? See how you just took a breath? Breath comes when you're integrated. Good. And then come on down, right? So these are different variations on the sensation of balance, right? Hey, Jeff, have a seat. Have a seat in the chair.
You know, one thing I'd like to add is that as a teacher, you may have a class where you have people of varying abilities. So you may have somebody on the floor, seated, standing, and recognize that you're teaching all of the students the same pose. So today we broke them up for you and kind of explained a little bit about each one of them, but recognize that the core sensations are the same regardless of position. And so when you're teaching this in a class, you want everybody moving in the same direction at one time.
So one of the reasons why I wanted you to watch Jeff come to sit down is, did you see all the places he had to balance in order to sit down? Right? And so this sensation of balance of being integrated, right, is actually going to be used all the time in every yoga pose, right? So Jeff, take your arms over your head again. So I don't want him just to effort. I want you to feel your back body extend. Bethany, hold his hands again. Now with ease and grace, extend out through the bottom foot. Think about the equal distribution of presence as an expansion. Keep straightening your arms. You got to make it work a little bit. There you go. Right? As you straighten your arms, go down through your leg, right? Feel your bent knee, outer tip. Feel the whole vessel and breathe. Again, balance is both an equal distribution of effort, an equal distribution of presence. It doesn't have to be an accomplishment. It's an integration. So the sensation of balance is one of those things that you don't realize how many tentacles it has. It's not just against itself. It's got an expansive manifestation out from the body. And it also it calms the mind down and teaches the mind to be more alert. Because once you go inward enough, in order to expand outwardly, you're more in the midline. And that allows you to see how movement can happen as an integrated whole. So this sensation of balance is one of those things that don't just think about it in terms of falling over. Think about it as a finding of space, grounding it on the inside of you, expanding into it on the outside, and making everything feel connected and equal. It is truly a core sensation.